So hear my call as we give honor to God, our Creator, our Redeemer, and our Provider. We love the Lord our God with all our heart, with all our soul, and with all our strength. And we love our neighbors as ourselves as we give honor to our founder, Mildred Miller, to His Holiness the Blessed Memory Master Melvin Davis, to our spiritual guides, to all the officers and administrators throughout the country, throughout the world, throughout the universe. We give honor to the boards that have helped us in our service, the Mothers Board, the Wiseman Board, the Usher Board that have been a great benefit to us. We'd like to give honor to our Supreme Father Marshall Davis, who's been doing a great series of talks for the 10 days well, so far 9, is going to do one tonight. That'll be the 10th day of the High Holy Days. And we give honor to the Divine Life Temple. And we give honor to you for being with us and those who will join us later. I greet you with Hotep, peace abide, shalom. So for our scripture, I'm going to read the 92nd Psalm. Here beginneth. It is good to please the Lord and to sing praises to your name, O Most High, to proclaim your loving devotion in the morning and your faithfulness at night with a 10-string harp and the melody of the lyre. For you, O Lord, have made me glad by your deeds. I sing for joy at the works of your hand. How great are your works, O Lord! How deep are your thoughts! A senseless man does not know, and a fool does not understand, that though the wicked sprout like grass, and all evildoers flourish, they will be forever destroyed. But you, O Lord, are exalted forever. For surely your enemies, O Lord, surely your enemies will perish. All evildoers will be shattered. But you have exalted my horn like that of a wild ox. With fine oil I have been anointed. My eyes see the downfall of my enemies, and my ears hear the wailing of my wicked foes. The righteous will flourish like a palm tree and grow like a cedar in Lebanon. Planted in the house of the Lord, they will flourish in the courts of our God. In old age, they will still bear fruit. Healthy and green they will remain, to proclaim the Lord is upright. He is my rock, and in him there is no unrighteousness. I've read the 92nd Psalm in the name of God the Father, God the Son, and God the Blessed Mother. Amen, amen, amen. And everyone is muted, so we'll want to say the Lord's Prayer together. As I said, you're muted so you won't hear yourself on the TV, but it will stop us from interfering with each other saying it. But I would like you to repeat with me. Let us pray. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen, amen, amen. Now we're going to have our song. I just need to set it up properly. So just give me a moment here to get this song correct. And when I say song, we're really not singing with it today because we're actually going to be listening to that ram's horn again. So, but I did want to set it up so you'll be able to hear it correctly. So here, let's listen to the ram's horn. you for to listen. We're waking up because we like that ram's horn to get you awake, get you ready, and prepared for life. And now we're going to do our meditation. Again, you're all muted so we don't interfere with each other, but I would like you to repeat after me during this meditation as I do a meditation, which I call Stand in Awe. So please pray with me. Our God is an awesome God. Let us stand and marvel at the wonders of the universe the Lord has made. I stand in awe of the strength the Lord has given us. I stand in awe of the love that God has shown us. I thank God for teaching me to harmonize my life in this miraculous system of goodness and peace. Amen, amen, amen. And again, I'd like to thank you for being with us today as we do our service on preparing for tonight. Tonight is the last night of the 10 hourly days, the Yom Kippur service. That service will be done by Divine Life Temple. And the number that you call to get into it, this is you only do it as a phone call. He doesn't have it as a video feed, but it's a phone call. For those of you who've called in with your telephones, it's the same number that you have called in because he's also on WebEx. So we would call him in on WebEx. And during that phone call, there's a different number that you enter to get to his site. And when we get to the end of the activities we have here, we will give that number again. But just off the top of my head, I've done it so many times. It's 1262-821774 pound and pound again. Um, but for us, we're going to be talking about what I call the awesome atonement and talking about Yom Kippur. And for those who can see the screen, you'll see a picture of what I think is a beautiful thumb piano. And the thumb piano kind of shows the harmony in life. It's a little piano that is made in Africa. Sometimes it like is made into like a little shell, or it's made like a board with these metal strips that go across it. And with those metal strips, you can play music with your thumbs. But usually it's just with the thumbs. Sometimes people play with the thumb in their um, index finger, both hands, but it's basically just made to be played with the thumbs. And with the thumb piano being a musical instrument, one of the reasons I wanted to talk about that is because our life is like a concert, or a way of thinking your life is like a concert. And when you're playing in this concert, if you were in a concert with several other people being a part of that concert, you would um, want to make sure that every instrument in there was in tune with each other. And with that tuning, many times I've known who've gone to those orchestra concerts. You had the beginning, just everybody's just kind of like uh, uh, playing the instrument, and just seems like just almost like it's a beautiful noise, but it usually is a noise. And that as all the members of the band tuning their instruments so that they uh, are the same. Because even though you may have an instrument, and because what normally happens is either the piano player or the oboe player plays a note. And when that piano player or oboe player plays a note, all the other members of the band know what note he is playing, and they're making sure that their instruments are tuned to that same note, tuned exactly to that note, because there's a little bit of fluctuation where it can be, but if you get one note and everybody kind of gets that note and get in tune with that note, then as they're playing throughout that whole concert, everybody will basically be in tuned. And so that's kind of what we're talking about with Yom Kippur, that was a day of atonement. It's a day where God is getting you in tune for your life to come, where He's getting that note so you could be in tune with the universe as you go through your life. And with God's tuning, we'll find that what it does is it sets you up to be able to defend yourself against unrighteousness because you already have a mindset or an idea of of the right things and the right way to be. And this setting up of it will make you so that through that whole year that you will be in tune with the universe. You will be in tune with God. You'll be able to pick up the spiritual messages that He's giving you better because you now are in the right key with the right tone. Your instrument is ready to play along with that great universal band. Now, the thumb piano that we're showing is called the mellotone, and it's a mellotone. I'm sorry, a mellophone instrument, and it's because it's called lamella because lamella are it's like tines, the little metal strips that go across it to make it. And I have one here also. I'll put this one. I think you may be able to see the one I have here. It has these little metal strips across it, and I'll put it this way so you can see the metal strips better. And when you pluck them, they will make a sound. And what it's saying about this plucking is that when you first pluck it, pluck the note, that it's almost out of and let me see the way he said. It's not in harmony. It's not when you first pluck it, it gives a tone that is a little bit overtone. And when it gives that overtone, it almost like immediately gets back in line uh, with it gets in tone. And even when you pluck it, the keys next to it, or the little middle ones next to it, also start vibrating. So when they're vibrating, it helps that note that you pluck to get back in tune. And that's what I'm saying that Yom Kippur is going to do for us. It's going to give us where we're almost always automatically getting back in tune with life because we've set ourselves to be in tune at this time that we call Yom Kippur, a time when it says that day of atonement. That's why I say this, that ultimate atonement, that awesome atonement, because this is a day to set you up so that whatever things happen in your life, that you are ready for uh, to find that righteousness. And I think that's one of the things that we're missing so much today is how to get people to recognize that righteousness and peace. I know they keep talking about law and order, but to me, we it's laws can be lies and orders can be oppression. But when you think of righteousness and peace, that's what we really need in this nation. That's what the Bible teaches us about, of how to be in righteousness and in peace. And that's what I think the world needs. In this day of Yom Kippur, and remember the day starts tonight. Our service, the service that Marshall will have at Divine Life Temple, will start at 7 o'clock because in the Hebrew sense, the evening starts the day. The even like the Bible says, the evening and the morning were the next day. So the day starts on the evening or the end of the day at sundown of the day, what we consider the day before, and it goes to sundown on the next day. So this saying that this day, the Bible instructs us, is a day that you could be atoned. And but that atonement, think of it like a musical instrument, getting in tune with the rest of the universe. And when we talk about atonement, since it's called Yom Kippur, I'm looking at the root word for Kippur, I mean Yom Kippur, coming from the root word kapar. And kapar, and for those who can see on the screen, I have it up there. It says that this is from Strong's Concordance. Strong's Concordance actually numbers each word that is used in the Bible. And this word is in the Hebrew, the 3,722nd word in the Strong's Concordance. And it tells us that this word, or root word, kafar, actually means to appease, to make an atonement, to cleanse. Think of that. That atonement means to cleanse or to uh, disannul. So it's kind of saying it's going to take those things that are not right, and it's going to things that are been annulled is going to make them right again. It's going to forgive, be merciful, pacify, to pardon. It's a primary root that means basically to cover and figuratively to expiate or condone, to placate or cancel, to appease, make an atonement, cleanse, then again uh, disannul, forgive, be merciful, pacify, pardon, purge, put away, reconcile, or reconciliation. So it's saying this is a day of reconciliation. This is a day of making you right. It's getting your instruments for life, your spiritual instruments. That means your heart, your mind, and your soul. That is getting them in tune to be a part of that concert, to make your life so that the words that come out of your mouth, the deeds that come out of you, that they have that right tune, that they sound right, they are always going towards righteousness. And I say that righteousness, and maybe I should pause and talk about that because, really with some of the things I'm hearing in the world, I, I'm almost sick. Okay, well, I'll be like Fannie Lou Hamer. Fannie Lou Hamer was one of the organizers of blacks getting into the Democratic Party. And one of the things she said was, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I'm almost sick and tired of always hearing about this idea of law and order. When I said when your laws can be lies and your order can be oppression. So for a moment before we go on and talk further about this day, maybe we talk about that, about this concept of righteousness, getting in tune, and using peace as the real thing that we search for. But did anyone have any comments so far? I'm going to unmute all. Any comments?
So I have a comment.
Yes, ma'am. I think that's Teresa.
Well, I was thinking when you said righteousness and as it relates to now, it's like things need to be made right.
Hmm.
You were talking about the laws. Laws need to be made right. We're going through a time now where it's all out in the open. I mean, really out in the open for everybody to see, and everybody is perceiving it. Because it's been out in the open, but everybody didn't perceive it. But now, look like this year, everybody is perceiving it. So now is the time for things to be made right. And even though it looks like it's not going to be made right, but if we do our duty, if we do what we need to do, it can be made right. And I feel that that even goes along with us ourselves. If we do within ourselves what we need to do, it'll you'll be right, then you can do right. And then everybody, hopefully, with everybody working on themselves and making the things right and forgiving and everything, maybe the whole business, the whole everything will straighten up and fly right.
Yes. Yes. Exactly my point that we need to be thinking about righteousness, how we do right thing. But is there someone else who like any thoughts about considering how righteousness um, and peace are what we're looking for, and not um, not this idea they keep trying to bring up of law and order. Because when you first hear law and order, it seems like they're talking about being right. But when we know that the laws are designed to perpetuate white privilege, and they're designed to maintain power through oppression, then to me, your statement about law and order is saying that we want you to maintain white, um, what do you call it? I just called it white privilege.
Suppression.
Yeah, white privilege. We want to maintain white privilege, and we want to maintain the oppression, and that is not righteous. And I don't think that no nation or no people should ever saying that we will keep giving you undue privileges. We will keep being, we will, be satisfied with being oppressed by you. So your idea, and remember, it's not just the Republicans who are saying law and order, but you have the Democrats also saying, "Oh, we believe in law and order." But what law are you talking about? Are you talking about the same laws that had black people having to learn how to spell chrysanthemum to be able to vote, or the laws that made it so we had to sit in the back of the bus? In your ideas, that was the law, they call it that was the law of the land, but it was not righteous. It was not a righteous law. It was not a law that was giving to maintaining the peace. Because the peace, again, to me, peace is not oppression. It was oppressive law. It was a law that was a bias law. And what we're saying when we're talking about this day of atonement, of getting things back in tune with the ideas of God and the ideas of the universe, we're saying in this day, we're even asking God to not only get us in tune, but let's get the world back in tune. Let's get the United States back in tune. Let them start living these lies that they call laws and this oppression which they call order. But anyone else before we go on?
Good morning. I was just going to say, I don't know if you remember a few weeks back, well, it might have been a month back when I was uh, saying about in the world, in other world, when you was helping us out to understand
Yes.
that. It's
Hmm.
almost something, make you feel something like that, but you have to thank God that, that you do have a hope and a future, because these days it's almost like the strong versus the weak,
Hmm.
and it doesn't matter what color you take it here. You got a president that's
Hmm.
supposed to be the leader of the world. He takes the sword, he takes the Bible, and he holds it up to the nation, and he turn it backwards, and he just say things that, with the Bible in his hand, that, just not of God. But at the same time, though, you still have to have that will, you understand, to continue to going on. Then you got COVID-19 that, you know, everybody, it's like the strong pick out the people that they want to say certain things. It's almost like it's just here to rear you, to separate you, to take your will and your courage, you know what I'm saying, where you just don't do nothing, you know what I'm saying? It's if you didn't really know no better, you almost would think that you're in a dream, want to
Yes.
be pinched, because you like, where all this coming from? But then when we take time out to think, this is what our foremothers and forefathers was telling us about. This is the vision that God showed them to try to get us ready. But I don't know if you can really have got ready for something like this. I mean, it comes at you from all angles. You know what I'm saying? It
Hmm.
comes from you from all sorts. You got people that's Christian, spiritual people that knows better, that's working in these places. They come, they take from the less fortunate. They cut your Social Security, they cut your stamp, and then they using the excuse by that's my job. But what happened to the heart? What happened to having feelings for people? What happened to all that? I mean, is all that just been, as the old people used to say, swept up under the rug? We more close not to sweeping in front of our own door, and then don't work, before you sweep in front of somebody else's own. So, I mean, I tell you that's what it is more inclined me to think, because it's like, but we know better, so we try to do better. So what we do, we hold on to what we have been taught. We hold on to our prayers, we hold on to our faith,
Hmm.
and our trust But that's where it kind of lead me into. Maybe you can enlighten on that like you did before, where a person say, okay, well, that's why I thank God that I'm of the world, but I'm not in the world. But yeah, you are in the world because you see these things happening. You just have to put yourself in a position where you try to build, I guess, not so press against these things that's going on. You can see them, but you're not going to let it take root. You're going to try to do your best no matter what it seems like, tastes like, smell like, no matter what comes to you. You're just going to continue to try to move forward to the best of your knowledge.
Yes, when you talk about we're in the world, like you're in the world, you're in the midst of these things, but if you're not of them, that means that you are a child of God. Always think you are a child of God, not of the world. And you're so right that if we get in our minds hard that even though we see these things happening in the world, when we know they are not righteous, we know they are not pure, when we know that it is not in the right spirit of life, what they're telling you to do. Because the reason I had to talk about that thing of law and order, because a meeting I was at the other day, and it was like just a meeting of black people, and at the end of it, there was a minister there, and we were talking about some terrible things that happened with some lynchings and things about that. And at the end of it, he felt that it was necessary to bring up the fact of uh, young men's encounters with police officers. And he was telling that we got to teach our children that when you see a police officer, just comply with what he's saying. And before I spoke up, the commissioner who was with us told him uh, some things about, yes, we want to believe in law and order, but sometimes those laws are not right. Um, and so because the commissioner corrected him, I didn't want to add to it. But when you think about that, I have a hard time telling my sons that all you got to do is comply with what the police are saying, and if you comply with what the police are saying, then you won't die. Because that's what you tell them. Say just be quiet. But because I know that my sons, because they've shown me too many cases of a person who was very compliant, who went along with all the things that they were telling him to do, and somehow it always turned south and end up the black person being shot. So, and it's not that I don't want to tell my children that they should respect righteousness and peace, because that's what I want to tell them about. But I want to be truthful to them, but that when they go out there, they have to watch out for the fact that they're going against a a war machine. They're an agent of death. The police officers, as we set them up, they are a death squad. That's what went at that lady's house to kill her. That wasn't people who were coming there in peace. They came there as a death squad. They came prepared as a death squad to knock our door down and to come into our house. And when you got a death squad coming to your house, you have to really think in your mind, and not only the coming into her house or Breonna Taylor, but when you actually have just your sons and daughter meeting a single police there, he is prepared to die. He's prepared to kill someone, and I say he's prepared to kill anyone because this man has a gun, he has mace, he has the taser. He has all these instruments of death with him, or instruments of death and punishment with him. So he has to be seen as an instrument of death. And the Bible tells us that, yea, do you walk through the valley of the shadow of death, don't fear no evil. So we have to teach our children how not to be fearful, but when they go before these things, you have to actually use that righteousness. You have to go to me, you have to teach that child how to go on these sessions with righteousness, but realize that you are now walking through the valley of death. And it's kind of bad to say that you have to teach your children that when they come encounter a police officer, that they have to consider that they are walking through the valley of death, that they are facing a instrument of death. But you do have to tell them that, because I think that's going to make them grow up and say, because what I want to try to teach them is that when you're in that, you want to survive. And the way to survive in that is to think on God and his righteousness, that God can actually help you walk through that valley of the shadow of death. Uh, because that to me is teaching the child the true attitude that they should have, and not trying to tell them just comply with the police officer and he'll let you live. um, I do want you to live, but I want you to, just like they call about, this is the days of awe, days that you need to pay attention, you need to wake up, and you need to try to search for peace. And peace means that, unfortunately, we have to teach our children that you may have to be the de-escalator in this, because that man who's standing in front of you with a gun may not do what they've trained him to do to try to de-escalate it. That he may be the one who's walking in fear, but you don't walk in fear. You walk with that righteousness and peace in your heart. Anyone else have any comments?
Flowers both ways. You know, a couple of weeks ago they showed a young man down in Miami was walking, and the police officer stopped him and told him that they got a call saying somebody dressed like him, looked like him, had robbed somebody. But if you notice, the police officer gave the man enough support that he felt comfortable with complying. He gave him enough information where, okay, he said, okay, if I could just get you to work with me. But he said it in a respectable way. You know, it's almost like, I wasn't there, but it's almost like back in the day when it was slavery. You know, the master would come and take somebody's wife, and just because he felt like at that moment he wanted to lay with somebody, he'll take somebody's wife and take them in the barn and do what he want to do, rape them or whatever he want to do. And if the husband or the son try to look at him or say anything to him, he shoot him in the head. It's almost the same type of thing now. You know, you want people to comply, but you don't want them to say nothing. Okay, if you come up to me and tell me somebody said that I just robbed them and I know I haven't, how could you not give me the right to say, well, sir, that wasn't me? You understand what I'm saying? Before you start pulling a gun on me, you want me to comply, but you want me to do that in jail and be arrested or in back in the police car, done script, shameful, and everything else after I haven't done nothing. That doesn't make sense. And two, I think that's when, you know, you look at the scripture, God haven't given us a spirit of fear. He given us a power of love and a sound mind. And but see, they want to come and script that. And you know, it's so crazy that you can almost see what they try. It's almost like they trying to find a way to bring slavery back. You understand? But a new type of slavery way. We're gonna break them. You know, we don't want you to say nothing. No matter what goes on, whether we wrong or right, we want you to comply. And you can't teach your child, because if we teach our child that means they coming into a world of disbelief. They coming into a world with no future, no hope. And God said, He said otherwise. So I mean, I just want to make that don't make no sense to me, because here you is now, we're in the years of 2020. It's going to be the 21st century coming up, and nothing still haven't changed to the point where everybody is being treated equal. You know, we all bleed blood. We all human. They say we all supposed to be God's children, and we all is His children. But it's just crazy, the mentality that done came with because people they want to be strong. They want power. You know, and it's sad that this is what power and being strong. At is almost kind of, Father's almost kind of like Satan. When he was up in heaven, he just wanted to take over. You know, he just wanted what he wanted, you know. And God said, you got to go. And this is what we deal with down here on earth. You know, so I think that's why the Bible is so substantial. That's why when they say watch well is pray, you have to watch. You really do have to open your eyes and see the things that's taking place, the things that's going on, you know, around you and your kids. You know, that man, I'm going to say this to them, God, that man was licensed. just like I'm licensed. He was licensed to bear arms. So what that said, the system said he is worthy to have a gun. He's worthy to protect himself because he has passed all the registry and the laws that would inhabit him not to be able to do that. You understand? So how could you say you justify the kicking somebody? That's like me sitting there. If somebody kicked my door, I don't have time to say who this is and why you doing this or that because that may end my life. No, I'm going to grab mine and I'm going to do the same thing he do. I'm going to shoot first and ask questions last because that's the only sense that you would get out of something like that, you know. But I think that it's good that they banishing that because you should never give no one person or people that type of authority that they could just enter to a person's home and expect for them not to do nothing.
Yeah, yeah. And to me, that whole setup, if you were really investigating them, they think for something about drugs in the mail, uh, I think there were much better ways to investigate that than to send a death squad to the people's house while they're supposed to be asleep. That's what I'm saying, that the way we're doing things, they don't follow the laws of righteousness. Uh, if you're going to send, for something like that, that did not require you to send a death squad. They did not require you to send a whole bunch of men with guns to break into the house. What was the justification behind that? But their mindset is like that they feel if they're going to someone in the black community, they have to come with a death squad. And unfortunately, people are not calling them death squads. We're calling them, saying, oh no, the police are justified. They were supposed to go into a house like that. Then you're saying that they had to have the only way they can investigate that was to give them a death squad to go into someone's house. Uh, to me, that doesn't make sense. And we have to look at those things and saying, how can we get them to do real policing and not set up these things that they think that the right thing to do is anytime they have to go and arrest a black person for anything, that they have to come as a harbinger of death. That's what I'm saying. It's not right. And it is not the ways of peace. And that's why I want to believe that the Bible is teaching us, let us learn how to do things righteously and with the idea of how you do them in with the true spirit of peace. Because those are things that God says that when we do those things, then He will walk with you through the valley of the shadow of death. Yes, because we can't be fearful. We have to really think. We have to use our minds. We have to use our hearts. We have to use all our knowledge to see how can we go through these times. How can we go through this valley of death and let the Lord teach us how not to fear evil. I think someone else is trying to speak.
Hello.
Hello,
Hi, Father Tyrone.
how are you doing?
Um, I'm okay. This is Gwen Troy.
Mhm.
Um, I was listening to you and the deacon talking. We were listening, and what I was getting out of it is that both of you, in a lot of ways are right. Both of you. When I was listening to both of you speak, I couldn't help but think about Martin Luther King and Malcolm X.
Mhm.
It was like listening to Martin Luther King and listening to Malcolm X at the same time. And there always was a lot of controversy of who was right or who was the stronger, Malcolm X or Martin Luther King. But and by me listening to both of you speak, and thinking of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X,
Mhm.
you know, it was more about neither one of them was more righter than the other.
Mhm.
It was more so about collaborating both of their thoughts. I think they would have
Yes.
been even more powerful collaborating together in some type of way. Um, we have to know how to fight, but we have to know how to fight in a rational way.
Yes.
We have to at least start with that way because the forces that are coming against us are coming irrational.
Mhm.
So irrational is only going to lead in bloodshed and in death.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
I,
the only place. Meaning there is no other option. If both
Right.
parties are unrational, it's gonna be death. It's
Hmm.
straight up. It's gonna be death.
Yes.
Okay, you think about, we have a big picture in our home of a person, more of a monk, uh, and the monk is in a meditation, in an Indian squat meditation mode,
Hmm.
and in quiet and in peace.
Hmm.
Um, if so, you think about a person breaking into your home with guns, and you're sitting there in a peaceful meditation mode with your eyes closed. They're gonna look at you like you crazy,
Hmm.
and they're gonna say, you know what I'm saying? But when they see you, 9 times out of 10, they're not just gonna instantly shoot you because you're sitting there in peace.
Hmm.
You're sitting there in peace. Now it can catch you off guard, but you're sitting there in peace,
Hmm.
or you're sitting there with your hands up, hands free, where they can see your hands, or what have you, in a peaceful mode,
Hmm.
and to where they have no choice but to stop and ask you a question.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But see, just that moment of stopping and asking you that question, and you answering that question slowly with your hands showing and everything, can calm things down at that moment.
Hmm. Hmm.
Can
Yeah.
calm things down at that moment. Uh, it's almost like shooting a shooting a man in the back that's running away. And I
Hmm.
know we've had a lot of unjust things that have happened to us,
Hmm.
but there's no way to justify. I mean, I understand that a lot of things are happening to where a lot of these police officers are getting off and stuff, but still, in the eyes of the law
Hmm.
of God, let's think of the law of God more than man.
Hmm.
In the eyes of the law of God, there is no way to justify
Yes.
shooting a person down in their back.
Yeah.
So, so when we think of, and it's about the mindset of us also thinking about um, keeping our mind on the laws of God,
Hmm.
keeping our minds on, because we're going to see unjust in this world
Hmm.
every single day.
Hmm.
No matter how many changes happen in this world, there is going to be unjust every single day. So we have to put in our mind that we have to go back and we have to remember the law of God is karma,
Hmm.
and whatever karma is put out is what shall come back.
Hmm.
So, so if we truly have the beliefs and we keep the beliefs in our mind that don't we're looking at people get away with stuff on this earth with our human eyes, with our human mind,
Hmm.
but with our godly eyes and our godly minds, the law of karma from God at some point is going to uphold, and that's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Yes, they're going to have to pay for the way they have been acting, the way they are doing, but the law of karma will come back at them. But there's a way to be given now that we have to learn how we, because to me, when I saying walk in peace, it does not mean, it means that you have that inner philosophy of peace within you. And notice that I did not say non-violence, because if you hear even in the Bible, Jesus told me that sometimes that peace is sometimes has to bring his sword with him. Um, and so, but for me, peace talks about when you work with things with that spirit of cooperation. And some cooperation is something that they don't teach us enough about. That you have to have that mindset that when you cooperate uh, with with life, that just like we're saying about getting in tune with life, that things work out better for you through cooperation. Now they're always trying to teach us about competition, And we have to stop thinking that competition is always the best way to solve problems. Cooperation can also be a marvelous way of solving problems when you start thinking that how can we find ways, and that's to me what true peace is. True peace is not oppressing one side and the other side getting away with things. That is not peace. Because if someone oppresses you to do their will, you are not going to be at peace within. And we have to find ways of how we can find that peace within. And that becomes on being trying to find a way, how can we cooperate with each other? And unfortunately, when in the United States, when you start talking about cooperation, the being cooperative towards one another, they're going to say, "Oh no, that's communism." No, to me that's godly. Godly teaches us to encourage one another, teaches us to work with one another. So God teaches us to cooperate. But cooperation does not mean that you're supposed to sit there and accept evil. And that's what they're telling you to do. You do not, the Bible never says that when you see evil come, that you just give in to evil. It says that you're supposed to stand up to evil. And to me, you should stand up to evil with that idea of righteousness. Because if you look in Ephesians, when it talks about putting on that whole armor of God, one of the things that it's talking about is stand there with righteousness. Is stand there with the truth. The first two, the one you're supposed to gird your loins with truth, and you're supposed to put on that breastplate of righteousness. So that's why I say that we have to start teaching our children. And I'm saying I'm not saying being confrontational with police, because you're being confrontational with a person that is prepared to kill. And I said, and again, I say he's prepared to kill because of all the weapons. He's prepared to kill or harm those who confront him. And the Bible also tells us if you're going to build a house, you don't do it without considering the cost. If you're going to go into the war, you don't go do it without considering um, consider going to your people who would advise you about war of doing that. And we have to start thinking the same way when we're addressing some of these problems, that we need to consider, yes, consider the cost of what it's going to take. Look at where are the best places and the right places that we can go to make as much change in our lifetime as we could. Because I think that's what our ancestors did. They tried to see how much change or how can I make the most change in this situation in this lifetime, so that maybe not for me, but the next generation can get closer to a righteous point. Yes, there will always be times when there will be things that we need to correct, and we kind of make it seem like there are going to be more things to correct than there are those to correct them. But at some point, as people start living for righteousness, which means correcting things, then and if everybody doing their part for correction, we're going to start seeing a better world. Anyone else before I go on? Because even though I still think our lesson is on the topic of atonement, of getting into that right attitude with the universe, where we learn the principles of the universe correctly and not think that uh, the universe is uh, out to destroy us. The universe was built to edify man, not to destroy man, and it's man that changes the universe so that it is not doing the right thing. So with Yom Kippur, when we're thinking about that, God gives us a time where we can start making atonement. We can start cleansing ourselves. And part of it is we have to cleanse our own self of how we look at these things to make sure that we're looking at them in the right way, that we're asking the people who are there to police us to be in the right attitude. Um, because even though we prepared them to go out to be death squads, and I do still say that they are prepared for death and for oppression, that we can find a way to say that how we get them to they don't and sad to say, but I think the policemen are fearful when they come into the black community. And we need police just like anybody else. We need some people to help us to do the keep righteousness going in our communities. But we want them to be agents of righteousness, not agents of death. But I'm going to go on. I'll give you some time to comment. I've muted everybody so we can try to get to this lesson about the Day of Atonement. And remember, the Day of Atonement again starts tonight at sundown. So it starts tonight at sundown and goes to sundown on Monday. So it's from sundown Sunday to sundown Monday is what in Hebrew would be considered the day. And again, the Divine Life Temple will have a message led by Father Marshall Davis that will talk about this last day of the 10 holy days, this day when you start making the final adjustments before the seal is placed on the book of life for this year. And from Leviticus 23, from the 26th to 32nd verse, it says, again, the Lord said to Moses, the 10th day of the 7th month is the day of atonement. You shall hold a sacred assembly and humble yourselves and present an offering made by fire to the Lord. On this day, you are not to do any work, for it is a day of atonement, when atonement is made for you before the Lord your God. It does not, if anyone does not humble himself on this day, he must be cut off from his people. I will destroy from among his people anyone who does any work on this day. You are not to do any work at all. This is a permanent statute for the generations to come wherever you live. It will be a Sabbath of complete rest for you, and you shall humble yourselves. From the evening of the 9th day of the month until the following evening, you are to keep your Sabbath. So that's from Leviticus explaining this Day of Atonement. We know that this is the 7th month of the Jewish year, and this is the 9th day of that month, and therefore this Sabbath day starts on the 9th day of this month and of this day and goes to the the sundown of this day and goes to the sundown of Monday. And when it talks about that, just a time for the people to assemble, to come together, and to humble themselves. I know last night in his talk, Supreme Father Marshall was talking about what it really means to be humble. And being humble is to really as a way of presenting yourself to God, not so much of just saying that you're supposed to uh, give into all types of things. But when you actually recognize how great God is and how wonderful God is, that is when you're humbling yourself and know that God is the one who is in control of all things. That is what happens on this day. So this is a day when it says that atonement is made, and this is in the 28th verse, atonement is made for you before the Lord your God. We have to wonder what on this day, what are the angels in heaven who are going before God to try to get you into that right state of mind. Remember earlier we were talking about that instrument, about getting your instrument tuned. We look at this day as a day where they are doing that tuning, that it's called writing your name in the book of life. Um, but when we're talking about writing in the spiritual sense, it's actually that writing would actually creating a spirit for you for that next day. Creating, and we wanted to create that right spirit for us. We want our name to be spelled with the utmost perfection in spelling it in the spiritual perspection, because we know that spiritually, when something is written down, that it has a power and an energy, and it becomes like an entity. And why am I saying it becomes like an entity? If we go back into the Bible and we look at when that God really gave them his word, we call it the Ten Commandments, that he wrote it down on these two tablets. He actually, the finger of God, wrote in stone these Ten Commandments, and he gave it to the Moses to take to the people. And yes, he had to bring it down a second time because when he first came down there, they were not doing what they were supposed to do. He had to break the tablets. He had to go through a process of getting the tablets again, but they got the tablets the second time. And when he brought them down, they took those tablets and they made an ark or a ark for them to be put into. That ark was like an altar that they made for it. They, in other words, they made a box for those tablets to be set in. And on top of that box, it was what is called the mercy seat. And the mercy seat was just the covering for the box. So they had the tablets of stone inside it. They had a covering on it, which is called the mercy seat. The mercy seat had these two angels that were facing each other with their wings outstretched. And we did that one of our earlier services during this year. We saw that Ark of the Covenant. And the Ark of the Covenant just means it was a box or a case to put the the stones, the tablet stones inside that box. And the box was put in the temple, and it was said that God could communicate to the people from that box. Now, inside the box was just these words that God had written down for them, but they knew that there was a language, this box, who was actually still speaking to them, and they can converse with this box. They could converse with what God had written down with them. And all of the Bible is supposed to be people who are writing down commentary about those first 10 commandments that God wrote down on those tablets of stone. But those commandments, when the Jews had those that Ark of the Covenant, they could actually have that Ark of the Covenant speak to them. And the Ark of the Covenant was considered so sacred that no one could touch it. And they have incidences when people did touch the box, because one of the other things they did with this box, the covenant, is they put these rings on it. And through these rings, they would put a wooden log through a wooden pole through these rings, because that's the way they believed you had to carry it. They believed that it had such a power in it, that so it had power and it had the ability to communicate. And they have, from the Bible, it tells that when someone even missed and touched this box, that it had such power that it killed the person. So it's saying that when God writes something down, or when he has something that's written down, and as it says now that your name is going to be written, that it has power and it has intelligence to what is written down. And so we're saying that with these 10 holy days, that there's something before that's going to be written before God in your name. And do you want it to? And so that means it will be something that you could communicate with through the year, that you can draw power from it throughout the year, from this what is happening on this day of atonement. That's why I'm asking anyone that can tonight, when Supreme Father Marshall has his service, to listen into that service. And the for tomorrow, try to make it as holy a day as possible so that you can get the full benefit of this pleading that some angel is doing for you on this day of the Day of Atonement. So that's kind of how I look at this Day of Atonement. And remember, we talked about it as a musical instrument. And to talk about it as a musical instrument a little more, and then I'll open the mic up to see if anyone have any questions. I want to look at a portion of the Aquarian Gospel, and this just happened to be in the 23rd chapter of the Aquarian Gospel, uh, where it talks about this, because we just talked about the 23rd chapter of Leviticus. But now we're going to look at certain points out of the Aquarian Gospel. And this is the Aquarian Gospel where Jesus is in India, and he is actually learning a little bit about their concepts of healing. And I'll read it and then we'll go back and talk about it. And Jesus sought to learn the Hindu art of healing and became the pupil of Udaka, greatest of the Hindu healers. Udaka taught the uses of the waters, plants, and earth, of heat and cold, sunshine and shade, of light and dark. He said the laws of nature are the laws of health, and he who lives according to these laws is never sick. Transgression of these laws is sin, and he who sins is sick. He who obeys the laws maintains the equilibrium of all his parts, and thus ensure true harmony. And harmony is health, while discord is disease. That which produces harmony in all the parts of man is medicine, ensuring health. And here's the part that we really want to go to. So the body is a harpsichord, and a harpsichord is just another name for a piano or of different types of piano. It's a harpsichord. And when its strings are too relaxed or too tense, the instrument is out of tune. The man is sick. And I'm gonna go over it again. It says the body is a harpsichord, or let's say the body is a piano. And when its strings are too relaxed or too tense, that means on either side, when it's too relaxed or it is too tense, the instrument is out of tune and the man is sick. Now, everything in nature has been made to meet the wants of man, so everything is found in medical arcanes. So here it's telling us that we should look at even our body as if it was a string instrument or a piano, like I showed the thumb piano in the beginning, that it has a tune that is when it's right, a tune when it is in harmony with the universe. And if you make it where either side can remember, it can go both ways. A lot of times when we think about good and evil, and we think about this as time of Libra and the scales, we think about that it's either on one side or the other. But in most things in a life, there is that precise area or point where things are in harmony and it can either go either way. It can go too far one way or too far the other way, and you will be out of tune with the universe. Now, many times we just call this good and evil, uh, but when we're actually talking about this balance between them, remember that the terms good and evil actually means pleasure or suffering. It doesn't mean that you're doing something. Uh, let's distinguish it by saying it's not saying that what you were doing is right or what you're doing was wrong. It means what you're doing gives you pleasure or what you're doing causes you suffering. And what it's saying is that to be in true harmony in life, you have to make sure that you're not just going to things because they're pleasing, or that you're not just doing things because they cause suffering. It has to be a place where you have the right amount of pleasure and the right amount of suffering. And suffering, like we say when you're exercising, no pain, no gain. But you also then feed your body the right things. You have to balance. Even the pain you get in exercise, you have to give your body the right nutrients and things, the pleasurable things, to make sure that your body has the strength to deal with the suffering that you went through in the exercise. So it's talking about getting into that perfect harmony, getting into that perfect balance. But it's not a balance of saying that on one side you're just going to have right, and the other side you're just going to have wrong. It's look at the things that the two complement each other. Like we sometimes tells you to, you need to complement mercy with justice. You don't want to have too much mercy, and you don't want to go overboard with justice. You have to find out how do you have the right measure of those, because when you have the right measure is when you are in harmony. And so this time of atonement is actually helping us to find out or get a sense within our hearts and minds and and souls, what is the right measure? What is, because when you say, even when you say righteousness, righteousness is going to be that point in which things are in harmony. Righteousness is not just saying, oh, you do it. Righteousness also has to be considered that it is in the, you have the two things that you are balancing, and that's what Libra teaches us, that you have these two things in life that you have to balance. And to get it where it's in harmony, you have to have the right amount of each one to be in balance. Then you'll find that you will be in harmony. And then you'll find that this time of year, when it's teaching you that right combination that gets you in balance. Even when I was saying when you go out and you're facing things that you want to war out with righteousness and peace, righteousness is going to let you know what is the right measure, what is the right amount of whatever I have to apply to the situation to be able to be successful, to become peaceful. Because when we're saying peace suggests success and prosperity. How can I be prosperous in this? Many times we think of peace as just saying, oh, there's no battle, but peace should be when you have the prosperity to bring it forth. If you, and I get this from when you look up the Hebrew word shalom, it confers not only what we consider peace, but it considers prosperity on both sides. It says with shalom, both sides will be so satisfied that you become at peace. And that's what this is saying about harmony. Harmony is when both sides are in a state of cooperation and agreement that they can go forth without having to battle or war against each other. So when we say peace, we're talking about getting that place of harmony, that place of righteousness, that neither side has to feel that it is at war with the other. And that's what we're looking for today. We're looking so that all parties involved will be at a place of peace where they can feel that their life matters, that their um, uh, ideas and opportunities in life are fulfilled, and that while they work for it, they will be doing the best things. So we have to actually find that this righteousness we're talking about, this just or this correction that we're talking about, is we have to know what is the right amount, what is that place where it is, where the resources are at the right point where we can live by them. I'm gonna open up to see if we have anyone who have any comments or questions about some things we've talked about. So I'm going to unmute it all. Any comments or questions?
I have a question, Derek.
Go ahead. I'm muting so I can get a drink of water, but go ahead. You can talk.
Oh, okay. I wanted to ask you, is this the day that Jesus was was talking about when the people got on him for healing on the Sabbath? Is this the day they were talking about?
No,
Remember he,
remember the Sabbath is also every Saturday is a Sabbath. So Friday night to from Friday evening to Saturday evening is a Sabbath. And this is be considered a Sabbath day for the whole year, where the Sabbath they were talking about was the Sabbath day um, for the week. Each week has a Sabbath day. It has a seventh day
okay.
that's a
So
part of it.
they didn't want no healing on the Sabbath day.
Mhm.
It
Which
comes
some,
every week.
yeah, which sounds kind of funny because many people go to church now for healing on the Sabbath day, and because remember they considered healing work because they considered what he was doing like going to a doctor. They saw that as what he was doing, that he was like a physician. So he was like a physician by healing people. They saying that what he was doing was like a physician helping you on a Sunday, and a physician should not be working on a Sunday.
Mm.
Um, and that's what he was telling him, that's how they were interpreting what he was doing as uh, as working or being a physician on on Sunday. For us, that's how we would think of it. They say if the doctors, most doctors' office are not open on Sunday, but what Jesus was telling him, but don't you have the emergency rooms open
Mm.
uh, on Sunday? Uh,
Mm.
or if someone has an emergency on Sunday, you're just going to let that person sit there and die
Mm.
because the doctor is not supposed to do the work on a Sunday. So he's saying that these laws were made to help edify man, but we're not supposed to be so crazy with them that it's like we're saying, you got to learn how to balance the thing and see that yes, as much as possible on these days you want to have yourself prepared for the blessings that you're going to receive, but don't take it so far overboard that you're saying that if you have to do something on that day, that is going to save a life, that you won't do it, because the laws are made to give us life. This is about being alive and having the might in life. So don't try to twist it up by saying that if I see someone, because I think when Jesus talks about, he talks about, if you're, if you had a cow or animal that fell in a pit on a Friday night, you're not going to sit up there and say, "Oh, we can't work to get that animal out of that pit on a Friday night. We have to wait till after we have to wait till Monday night to save him." Doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. So with righteousness, you have to always learn to. I know Father Marshall was talking about his Uncle Marshall that always said you have to use expansion of the mind. You have to be able to say that, if you, because if you understand what is happening, if you understanding that you are not working so that you can keep your mind on spiritual things as most as possible, then is it a spiritual blessing or a spiritual curse for you to think about saving someone's life? That is a spiritual blessing. Most of the times when we're working, we are working for selfishness. And so, what it's talking about is you have to distract yourself from your selfish thoughts as much as possible on in a Sabbath time. And on this day of awe is such an important day of doing that, that you should try to, as much as possible, distract yourself from all type of selfish pursuits. The Jews fast on the 10 holy days. Is a day of fasting for them. So they even turn away from food for the whole day and just sit and try to draw in and be a part of the light of that is being poured out, being a part of that spirit that's being poured out. But saying, if you understand that righteousness means harmony and balance of getting things, correcting things, because righteousness means correcting. If you're correcting something, you have to get it back to a standard which is true, or a standard which puts things back in harmony. So righteousness connotes getting things back in harmony. And just saying that during this time, it will help you to get in harmony. Anyone else? Or was there more questions? Did I answer the question?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions? Because I think this is can be a very important day for getting that right standard within you, getting that right light within you, getting that right energy within you. Like when I'm talking about that Ark of a Covenant, of having it where you have that uh, link of communication with God, and that you have that strength and power that they believe came from that Ark of the Covenant of God, of that sacred energy that was a part of it, that was helping to lead the people, that you can have all these things as part of your life by, and I don't know who it was, someone, I just muted your mic because it was kind of giving some feedback. So if you have to talk, just kind of uh, let me know. That was, I don't know who it is, but it's caller number 8. Just have to mute you a bit. But this is a time when you're getting that harmony set within you. Just like saying, think of yourself as a musician in an orchestra getting ready for a concert, because life is that concert, and you want to make sure that your instrument is in tune with the other instruments of God. That when your instrument has you at that right pitch, so when it comes in, it does not destroy the whole concert. So this can make your life where you're ready, you're in tune, you're prepared to live the best life that you can. You're prepared when you go, like I said, that's why I say, when, if I'm going to teach my boys to go out, I want them to go out with that spirit of righteousness, that spirit of, because remember, if they're going and meeting someone, even though that person is an agent of death, and they're going in there with that idea of righteousness and peace, they're going in with the idea of how do we correct this situation? Not how should I show the policeman up, not how should I have this person who may be fearful. And I know it's crazy to talk about, here you are, the citizen, and the policeman that you're coming in may be fearful. Uh, Most of the times they are. That's why they go for the guns, because they what? They are in fear. That how do you get to a place of that idea of how do I correct the situation? Um, because even when Deacon Jackson was talking, and he said when the person came to him and he spoke to him and tried to find, and the policeman opened up and told him that I'm looking for a person that fits your description. And believe me, they often use that idea of why they stop you, and more than likely they do have something where you may fit the description of someone who they're looking for. But you need to talk from how and have in your mind, how do I seek righteousness? How do I seek to correct this situation? If I am not that person, then let's walk together in peace to correct the situation, so that you know that, it's like in Star Wars, that this is not the droid you're looking for. And how do you get them to go out with that mind? And that's what I'm saying. It's not always just say comply, 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 because you may get that crazy policeman. And I'm thinking about the guy who was shot at what was it, a Wendy's or something? That he was drunk and fell asleep, and the first police officer, and they have all on tape, the first police officer came to him, uh, was one who was working with him, getting an understanding of it. And then the next policeman came out. From looking at the tape, you can see that this guy had it in his mind that he was going to find some way to arrest that man. And he was going to find some way to find him guilty of being drunk. He gave him almost 15 to 20 minutes of those physical drunk tests that the guy passed. And after the man passed all of these physical signs of drunk tests, he gave him a breathalyzer. And because he was like 1 point above the thing, as then he wanted to arrest the man. But you can see from his whole attitude of how he treated the man that he was going to find some way to arrest this man. And that's when the man just sort of even though, so the man was still intoxicated, that's when the man kind of went, uh, beyond himself and saying that this is not right. I am going to resist this. But we have to have our mindset that we want to be righteous, even though you may get that bad policeman that has it set in his mind that he's going to do wrong. Because another thing that I'm getting sick and tired of hearing, and I know that I already gave my 1 second tired about law and order, but the other thing that I'm getting sick and tired of hearing is there are plenty of good police officers out there. Um, and the reason I'm getting sick and tired of hearing that is, and let me give you an example. If I went to the hospital and I was supposed to get my left leg amputated, and they set me down there, and during the thing, and they amputated my right leg, the wrong leg. They're supposed to do the left leg, they did the right leg. If I woke up and they told me, well, we amputated the wrong leg, but there are a lot of good doctors in this hospital, and there are a lot of good doctors in the world. So, for the sake of all these good doctors in the world, we want you to ignore the fact that we just cut off your wrong leg. To me, that makes no sense. If we're talking about a situation where something has been done that wrongs you, why are you telling me about all the good doctors or the good policemen that are out there? I'm talking about how do we correct the situation of this bad thing that happened, and you're going to try to take it to, well, look at all the good policemen we have out there. Look at all the good things that they've done. I'm not questioning whether they are good policemen. I'm not questioning whether there are good things that they have done, or even that this doctor may have done good things in the past. I'm questioning, why does it keep recurring that when so many black men who confront this get the wrong thing done to them? How can we correct this wrong that's being happening? And to me, the answer is, oh, there are a lot of good policemen out there. So I'm sick and tired of that because it's like an excuse. It's like saying we're not going to do anything about this wrong that happens because there are a lot of good policemen out there. It starts not to make any sense. That's why I say I'm sick and tired of hearing that as an answer because it's not an answer to the real problem. It's it's like confusing. I just always have a term I use that kind of stopped using it. It's like confusing the issue with the facts. The fact is, there are a lot of good policemen out there. The fact is, a lot of the bad apples are doing things that need correction. So don't tell me not to do correction because of how many good ones out there. I don't want to correct the good ones. I want to correct the ones who are doing wrong. Anyone else have any thoughts on that? I'm gonna get some water again.
Well, you hit the nail. You hit the head, or how they say, you hit the nail right on the head of that. And I was just thinking when you were saying about your leg. That would have left you legless, right? Because if they cut off the wrong leg and you still left with the bad leg, they still haven't told you what they're gonna do about the bad leg that they left. You can't use it if it was bad from the beginning. If they had to cut it off, that means they still gonna have to come back and cut it off. So now you left legless,
Yeah.
and that's almost like the same scenario they give you with life.
Mm-hmm.
You alive, but we almost seem like we want to leave you lifeless.
Mm-hmm.
It's I tell you, you definitely have to be strong, but you have to go down that right avenue to not let them put in you what you need to teach your kids and how you have to inspire your kids. Now, if it's right, it's right, but when it's wrong, you cannot do that. You cannot turn the naked eye to please man, because he already done told us man gonna let you down. So, but man just done got, we hate to say it, out of control, way out of control. And when I'm saying man, I'm not just speaking man in general. I'm talking about one man, just earthly beings. It's almost like how the people was rejoicing and just celebrating when Moses led them out the promised land, and he went up to be with the Lord, and they just got out of control. They just want to go ahead and make them this calf, this rap or whatever, in gold, and this false idol, and to the point where it angered God and angered Moses. It just, and this is what we have to do. We have to make sure that we don't strike no rock or strike nothing like most out of anger. See, and you have to keep a peace of mind, like I said, because it's gonna come towards you, but you just have to be able to turn off that just turn it off. You understand what I'm saying? You have to be able to turn it off and take time out and just root hard, take your deep breath and say, you know what? I'm gonna pray. I'm gonna pray. But this is the time that I'm gonna sweep in front of my own front door at least. But I'm gonna make my voice. I'm gonna use my voice. You understand what I'm saying? But I'm gonna use it in a productive way. It's like you were saying, and I applaud you for that, because sometimes as people, no matter who speak or no matter what they say, we still want to get eyes on in. And I applaud you for not bashing him and say, well, okay, the commissioner, whoever he was, he kind of said his piece, and that should have been enough, because if he don't get it off that means he's not trying to get it. He's not going to get it. But you can't cave into what the enemy wants you to do. You can't go teaching your child what someone they want you to teach, because that don't make no sense. Now, I was looking at the news the other day about the young man over here where I live at, the McDonald's, where they had on the news where they slammed the boy face, his nose and stuff to the car. That's right up the street where I live at. Now, if you want society, serious, if you want society to believe that you was fearful of your life when you came there with 10 or 15 more other people that, like you say, was strapped with guns, tasers, mace, Because they used everything except to say they used the maids, they slammed them down, they used their authority. But you want a society to say, okay, we hear you. Because there was a gang of teenagers, high school kids, you was fearful for your life. So what did that say about me and you, us adults? We won't even stand a chance. You understand what I'm saying? So this is why once we see these things, yeah, we have to keep, but I just think that they have a balance. What's for you ain't for you. You understand what I'm saying? It's almost like what I do, I'm right. What you do, you wrong. And if you question my right, that make you 2 times wrong. So now I'm going to beat you, shoot you, cut you, spit on you, stab you, whatever I want to do. You know, even they done went so far that you got these people with authority. They rape women. They just do stuff that it's not ordinary to the mindset, but they do it anyway because they want to make you believe, you know. But I know I seen it. I'm gonna say something. I seen the white guy on news yesterday. I watch court TV a lot. The white young man killed his parents. Not only did he kill his parents, he cut his mama's head off and put it in a pot and put it on the stove. Now, what mindset is that? We know that's not the mindset of God. You understand what I'm saying? Because we know God don't revel in evil. You understand what I'm saying? But what will make a person go that left or go that right or stoop that low that you would even think about harming your parents from the beginning? Because the Bible speaks to that. The Bible says, honor your father and your mother. You know?
It's amazing.
I'm looking at this bad spirit, this demon, just running rapid now. The last what month we got kids killing their parents. You know, my lawyer, Mr. Robert Finstein, God bless his soul, his law firm has just been left in disarray because they still can't believe it. They still can't get over. They hearing it, they knowing it, they seeing it, but they still can't come to reality. Why would he kill his father? Here, this promising man. Here, this man that's rich, done made it. This man that's loved it in society. You understand what I'm saying? But his son, his own son, took his life. So, I mean, it's a great lesson, Father Tyrone. Great lesson and well much needed. And I take my hat off to you once again. And you know, we just have to, like you said, it's I don't know, it's mind-boggling.
Yeah, but we just have to keep on. We have to keep working for righteousness and understanding what righteousness means, and knowing when what they're doing is not righteous. It's not. They're not trying to correct. They're trying to oppress, and they're trying to. They keep telling us that they're just trying to maintain law, but the system of law they're using is based on giving white people a privilege that is beyond what they're giving everyone else. That is not righteous. That is not the way that life should live. And they wouldn't put up with it if we had the unfair advantage. So why should we have to put up with it if they have an unfair advantage and saying, "Oh, but that's the way it is." I heard one lady talking about that we're trying to change history. We're not trying to change history. We're trying to set it straight where it tells the truth that what y'all did with your in history was inhumane. It was cruel. It was unnecessary. I think America still could have been great without them trying to exploit so many people. I think we still would have had a great country. And I think we've had a great country because of some of its ideas of letting the people be involved in the governmental process that let the people become and decide who their leaders would be, not make it where it was some type of family line. Or I know Teresa has been watching a lot of those British things where they felt that this was a family line that was supposedly blessed by God, but when you go back, it was really some uh, warrior somewhere in their family that took over things. And now that bloodline, they're saying that we're going to keep it in that bloodline. And because we're keeping that bloodline, we're going to make lords and ladies out of people who are other warriors who have learned how to oppress people. No, United States was based on the principle of trying to give the people the right to govern themselves. And unfortunately, where they did that, they only wanted to make it the white people, that they still wanted to try to oppress the black people who were around at that time. So they still haven't got it where it's completely balanced. And if they get it, and to me, when you look at society, that after they freed black people, didn't United States still grow? Didn't it, even though they were still trying to do everything they could to hold black people back, the freedoms that they started when they freed black people helped America to even grow more, helped some white people to start advancing in life. That's how it was from them freeing black people that they actually created what they called the white middle class. It didn't used to be a white middle class during slavery because you had the rich white people who were slave owners, and then you had the poor white people who did not have slaves, and you didn't have that white middle class until they said, well, let's free the black people, and but we still want to try to suppress them, and we're going to do that by getting a middle ground of white people who are also going to get some of this white privilege. And now that middle ground of white people are saying, we want to maintain that system of where we are in the middle of the real rich and the dirt poor, that we want to maintain those privileges of that, rather than say, but look, if when you start freeing things up and opening things up, that America actually became more productive, why don't we see how it would fare if we actually make it where everybody was free, where everybody had the opportunity to do their best? Because that's what we're looking for, is how do we get it where everybody has the opportunity to do their best so it can make America grow even more beautiful. And I used to like to say beautiful than great, or because there sometimes their definition of great is again is the great white hope. They're trying to say, let's make America the great white hope again. And to me, that was a problem when America was a great white hope. And whatever hopes it had is for just white people, you were actually holding America back. And I'm saying, let's open up the floodgates of prosperity in America. Let's open up the gates of opportunity in America so that we can all prosper in America. Anyone else have any thoughts or comments, questions? Now, for those who can see the screen, you'll see that I've taken it to, I put a slide in here to remind us that tonight begins Yom Kippur, that day of atonement, that day when the angels of heaven are going before God, pleading your case, writing your name, giving you the sense of that righteousness, because that's what we really need to develop. We need to develop a sense of righteousness. And we want to make it so that not only us, but that the whole spirit of America will actually awaken to that sense of that true righteousness, that true correction, that true of not saying that, oh no, we just want to keep it as it is because we feel, and the sad thing about saying keep it as it is, they want to keep it as it is because they feel that we want to try to pull them down to bring us up. And to me, that's not what we're saying. We're trying to say, stop pushing us down, and we will help the whole nation to go up more. We're looking for ways to make the nation better, not a way to make the nation worse. But with that, the service for the Yom Kippur service tonight at the Divine Life Temple, they will have that service at 7 p.m. And the number to use to call in WebEx would be the same number that you use to call here. WebEx has actually two numbers you can call, but they're mostly the same. It's that 415-655. It can either be 0000 or 0001. Either one will get you into WebEx Once you're in the WebEx, you have to put in the meeting number, and this is the important number to have, and I'll read it slowly. Is 1262821774, and then hit the pound key twice. The first time it will it's thought actually about a meeting number. You don't need one, so you can just hit the pound key a second time, and you will get into it. Now, the Yom Kippur service is also a time when it talks about having a a holy communion or coming together. It is a time for um, bringing an offering, and because we're virtual, that is not as easy to make the offerings. But for those who can see the screen, I'm showing you the website. Their website is divinelifetemple.com, is the website for Divine Life Temple, is divinelifetemple.com. If you would like to make a donation to divinelifetemple.com, and I think now that those who can see the screen, everybody, someone who is um, can you see this the screen from Divine Life Temple? Anybody can say yes.
Yes, it's up.
Okay. So from the Divine Life Temple .com, if you want to make a contribution, I'm telling them that they should probably do something at the top of the screen to be able to do this. But to make a contribution to Divine Life Temple, you actually have to go down to the bottom of any page that they have on the website. So y'all can see it. You can see go down to the bottom of the page, however deep that page is, and when you get down to the bottom, make this go away. Um, Down here in the corner, down on the right hand side, down in the corner, there's the word offering. And to get to the page where you can make an online offering to them, that's where you go. Just like you buy things on the internet, but they have it way down to the bottom, and it's on. It's not a, which page you're on. It's all the way down to the bottom of that page. You'll see some words in the on the right hand side about contact, get involved, and offerings. Um, and once you go to that one on offerings, it will bring you to a page. And unfortunately, again, the page starts off with a welcome and telling you about the High Holy Days, and you even have to scroll down a little bit on that page, and you'll see a thing about making a virtual offering. So that's how you do if you want to make a contribution during the holiday days. Um, on our website, I think I make it a little easier to find the offering. If you want to make the online offering like that, let me try to go to my page. And, and our website is spiritualguidancetemple.org. And if I did it, come on, go. On ours, our donate is over on the right hand side also, but it's at the top of the page. Is a symbol that says donate on our page. So as soon as you get to ours, and that's on any page you go to, on the right hand side, there's a little box, and that box has a donate button on it. But for the night for the Yom Kippur service, it's going to divinelifetemple.com. Theirs is not .org like ours, it's .com. And but go down to the bottom of the page and you'll see a little click box that says offerings. And like I said, with the Jews, this is a time where they usually make their big offering for the year because this is such an important thing. And remember, support that church and support that organization so that it can continue doing the wonderful things. But also make sure you go and listen to that service that he's going to have tonight on Yom Kippur, his Yom Kippur service, where he's giving you actually uh, the names of God that you can use that are specific to each day, giving you principles that you can work with that aspect of God. He usually gives you the name of God. He gives you a hero out of the Bible who works with that. He gives you the name of an archangel. He talks about the gifts of the Spirit and the fruit of the Spirit, which ones work with each particular, to get you more focused on how you can actually accomplish many things by just knowing which aspect of God you're working with. So all those things are there available to us. Again, 7 p.m. divinelifetemple.org. Call into WebEx and go to meeting number 126282 1774 and pound pound. So if it's anything else, I'll take a little page. And remember, our website is spiritualguidancetemple.org. Spiritualguidancetemple.org. And now for our dismissal, and I'll turn off the recording in a minute. For our dismissal, let me say, may the love of God illuminate your way. May the will of God direct you each day. May the truth of God all errors depart. And may the peace of God forever dwell in your heart. Amen. Amen. Amen.